Well, hello everyone. Welcome to chapter 149 of The Last Thoughts of a Busy Mind. This one titled Will There Be a Season 11? Now, this is the penultimate episode of season 10, and I originally was thinking of doing this exact episode as the last episode, but honestly, I have a trip coming up and there might be some other news that I want to talk about on the last episode. So I thought this is a good time to talk about because the week I had wasn't very eventful, aside from one day. There was a good day, and if it wasn't for that, I personally think I'd not be talking to you right now. So, um, will there be a season 11 of The Last Thoughts of a Busy Mind? Before we get to that, my drink today is Coke Zero, as usual, classic drink. Nice and refreshing. And um, where to start? Well, oh, another thing that happened this week, by the way, I don't know how I forgot that. I'm recording this at around 5 p.m. and I am incredibly sleep deprived. Like, you have no idea how much. And around like 15 hours ago, I was the guest of a live stream podcast called the Geeky Gamers Podcast, and there's a link to that in the description. I'm gonna write it in my notes. And so, yeah, that's the other thing that happened this week. Do listen to that. It was fun. It is long, but it was incredibly fun to do, basically. Now, for this, let's talk a little bit about behind the scenes because there are some things changing, and I think I need to address it. It works both as an origin story for people who never have heard an early episode of this show, and also just a little recap of the show itself. Uh, I made this show in the summer of 2020. Now, for reasons I don't think I need to tell any of you, 2020 was not a good year. It was a tumultuous year. There was a lot of problems. There was a lot of mental health problems that I personally had to deal with. And The Last Thoughts of a Busy Mind literally came out as my way of talking to people without actually talking to anyone. I just decided to put my voice recorder on and talk for 20 minutes. A lot of my friends at the time told me don't publish it because it's not good, and I was like, I don't care if it's not good. Uh, it's personal, and I do need to talk to someone, and I did publish it. Now, to say that this show is successful is very much dependent on your definition of success. To me, it is because I kept on with it. I persisted, and I've been doing it for 149 episodes. But if you look at view count and any other merit, no, it's a very niche, small show with less than 10 people listening on each episode. Now, back in the early days, that used to bug me a lot. There were episodes that had zero listeners, and that bugged me massively. But as time went on, I kind of just let it go a little bit and realized that the value of the show isn't how many people listen to it, it's, well, how good I feel while I'm doing it. And there has been good times and bad times, good episodes and bad episodes. I probably should do a top 10 list because that is how my brain works, but I'm not going to. But if you want, I love Scatman John is always a good episode to listen to. But, as I was saying, the original intent of the show was I was depressed, I was anxious, I was alone, and I needed to talk. And that was in 2020. I was stuck in home. Since then, a lot of things have changed. I've managed to find new friendships, I managed to find a better relationship, I managed to actually work on myself a little bit. I'm still depressed. I am extremely depressed and extremely anxious, But at the same time, I don't think I'm I'm worse off. I'm better off right now. I have people that I can talk to. So in a sense, you might say the show has done its purpose. And at the same time, it seems like a perfect time to end it. 10 is a good round number of seasons to have. 150 episodes is a good round number. And at the same time, there are a lot of changes coming. My call to action have always been, and I'm going to do it right now, that you can send me a message on Anchor. I still call it Anchor. It's Spotify for podcasters. You can send me a voice message there, and I will play your voice message at the beginning of the next episode, and you might shape a whole episode around your message. That is not going to be true in June. They are discontinuing that feature, so I no longer can say that because there's no longer a way of sending me a voice message within the Spotify app. There are other ways of sending me a voice message, but that is gone. My other call to action is, of course, if you listen to this on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. And if you listen to this on Castbox, comment there. I have the app and the notification is on. Those two still hold. You can do that there. But things are changing. And throughout the lifetime of this podcast, this 149 episode, I've seen a lot of things change. First of all, it went from Anchor to Spotify for podcasters. They removed a bunch of features. They added a bunch of features. It was basically a mess. They removed the analytic tabs. Now you can't get a good idea of how many which of your episodes are best listened. Behind the scenes stuff and honestly boring stuff. But I've seen that change happen to the lifetime of this podcast. And other changes have happened to the production of the podcast. Like, if you go back to the first episode, there's always been a couple of tenets to this show. First of all, record the audio, then put the raw audio unedited onto the podcast platform, which was Anchor and then became a Spotify for podcasters, and let that distribute it to all the other services. Now, I came in at a good time when that was automated. Right now you have to do it individually for each portal. So I do not envy people who now start a podcast. Now want to start a podcast. So that has always been, and the other tenant is a video on YouTube. Now there are services that do video on YouTube, like when you upload it, they make a video and put it on YouTube. But I thought, okay, the service I'm gonna use doesn't have that, so I'm going to do it myself. For the first few seasons, I did it using a very cool, it's like a static image of the show's banner, the cover art, and nothing else, and then the voice. And it's incredibly boring. Then at some point, I met Headliners, and even Headliners has gone through multiple changes throughout the life of this podcast. And I realized, I can add wavelengths and stuff like that, which is why you see, if you listen to this on YouTube or watching it on YouTube, the look that you see right now was developed. And I've tried to keep it the same kind of throughout the life of the show. So a lot of things have changed throughout the podcast, except a few things, of course. The audio is still raw. My microphone has changed. I used to do it with a shotgun microphone on top of my voice recorder. Now it's a separate microphone that is much better suited for podcasting. But, okay. Here's the thing. All of these point to a thing that is, this is the logical end of the show, I have to look at facts. This show is not very popular because I never actually put any effort into making it popular. It's mostly a personal show for me and my friends, and those of my friends who have the time in the world to listen to this. And if you're one of them, I want to thank you so much. You have no idea how much that means to me. I don't know if these words ever reach anyone in the vast, vast, vast emptiness of space that is internet. But if they do and you found any sort of joy, meaning, or just, I don't know, voice to sleep to in my words, I want to thank you for that. It's the value of it is immeasurable. You have no idea how much that means to me. But it's not a popular show, and it's not going to be a popular show. And I'm okay with that. Again, I didn't start it to get views or to get people to listen to me. This isn't the show that I do that for. That's AK88 Studios that I do that for. And this is just me talking. And as I've said, with how my life is going right now, it seems like, oh, you can talk to actual people about it. But there is a level of habit now. I look at this, and this is a point to the end of my week. Like, I have to say, oh, on Friday, I have to record a podcast and upload it and publish it. And honestly, it's okay, I like it. I genuinely do. I genuinely do like it. It's a serene experience. Sometimes I have had anxiety attacks behind this microphone. I have had most of my disorders said out loud. I've cried behind this microphone. And I know that doesn't sound like a serene experience, but it is. It's liberating, because for 20 minutes every week, I have to listen to my own voice talk about stuff that happened to me and talk about my own thoughts. And that is something that is not easily achieved, I like it. And yeah, I don't want to lose it that easily. 10 is a good number to end on, but also is 15 or 20. 15 seasons of a show that has 15 episodes each season. Come on, the synergy is just there. 5 more seasons, and I can do it. Depending the internet in Iran doesn't go tits up, but that is a challenge that I have to face. So the question at the beginning of this episode and the title of this episode is, will there be a season 11? Short answer, which is not supposed to come at more than halfway mark of the show. This is why I'm not a good podcaster, but the short answer is yes. At this point, there is more than likely an 11th season. I want to keep doing this. There is something here that I'm not willing to get rid of. I'm not willing to finish it. There are so many things I haven't yet talked about. There are so many things I haven't yet discussed. And some of them I will not do while I'm living in this country, in Iran. But at the same time, I feel like I've gone on a journey, and ending it here just because it's a good round number, that hurts me a little bit, because I feel like, the journey hasn't ended yet. I'm still that boy that I was in 2020. I still haven't grown up. I've grown up by literally 4 years, but I'm still that same boy, Some of those same wishes are still within me. If you go back and listen to the Parenting Simulator, which is the second episode of this show, a lot of stuff that I said then are still true today. A lot of stuff that I said afterwards are not, and I'm glad for that. But that sticks with me. But at the same time, this is a good opportunity for some change. Now, change frightens me. I've talked about it multiple times. It's a thing about anxiety and depression, that change really does affect me in not a good way. And that is why I don't do a lot of stuff. But I think this is an opportunity. Spotify for podcasters is changing its own design and UI. I no longer have an access to a recording studio. inside the app itself. It's not a big deal. I have to now add every opening that, the ding at the beginning of each episode, the opening titles at the beginning of each episode myself before publishing, before uploading. While before that, I used to be able to upload the episode itself and I would have the opening there. It's just less quality of life because Spotify hates us and I don't know why we use it. I know why. It's free. Spotify for podcasters is free. I'm not using any boost options, so it is free for me. But it's changing that. So, and it's removing the voice message. So I have to come up with a whole new call to action. And I'm probably just going to take out the part about sending a voice message and then sending it to you. And I think there needs to be other changes. I'm not going to edit this show. One thing that will never change about The Last Thoughts of a Busy Mind, no matter how many seasons it goes on for, is that it will never get edited. But I feel like there needs to be more professionalism there. And one of the things is I want to add math declickers, at least make the experience of listening to this podcast more pleasant than it usually is. I know after 10 seasons, I'm finally deciding, I don't want to my raw audio, my raw WAV files get uploaded. I want to change them a little bit and make post-processing on them. But I'm going to do that. Probably. All of this is probable. It's more than likely. And I probably will change the description. I probably can finally add a trailer to the show. It doesn't. And try to actually come up with a system, with a schedule. Probably remove that stupid, it has to be recorded on Friday thing. It gave it a little bit of spontaneity that I liked in some instances, but sometimes I just couldn't get to the deadline, and that was very annoying to me. And the other times I was just so busy with other stuff that the episode suffered. Like right now, I wish I had pre-recorded this episode yesterday and I could just sleep right now and let this publish on a set time by a robot or something. So I have to think about the specifics of it, but I think this is a good idea to change. Now is a good time to change because season 10 is a good round number. Things are finally coming around. I started this journey in 2020 depressed and feeling abandoned and feeling like I had no place in the world. I'm ending it depressed and feeling like I have no place in the world, feeling a little bit abandoned. But when I started it, I wanted a reason to talk to anyone I can. And right now I have people in my life whom I can talk to. And even people who I had then that I couldn't talk to, right now I can't. I swear I wasn't crying. It was a cough. I've gotten so much better at talking. I've gotten so much better at expressing myself. And that is partially because of this show. So it is a good round number. And it's finally time for a little bit of a change. I probably will have to force myself to sit up and record this show rather than sit on my bed and record it or in any way. I probably won't do that, but it would be good to try at least. So, will there be season 11? More than likely, yeah. At least there will be one more episode to this show. And honestly, it's kind of hard not getting emotional. I know, as I said, stupid little show. Not a lot of listeners. It's a very, 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 very niche. It's so niche, it's basically non-existent. But there is still something in it for me, Personally speaking, when I look at it, there is something here for me that I enjoy, that I like, that I want to continue doing. And that is worth something to me. It may not worth a lot of money, it may not worth a lot of views, but it's worth something. It's worth sereneness, it's worth calmness, it's worth putting an end to a week for me. And with that said, let's put an end to this week. Unremarkable, but at least it had a couple of good moments. And I will see you all in the next one.